Welcome to World Collective Master Talk Series. Today I'm with Inga Kanchaveli, who is most recently the former Deputy Team Leader of the Reform, Legal and Budget Issues to the Office of the President of the General Assembly of the United Nations during the 76th session. Inga also served as an advisor to the Presidents of the General Assembly during the 72nd, 73rd, and 75th sessions. She's held positions as Senior Advisor of the General Assembly Affairs, Advisor on Legal Issues, and also a Special Assistant to the President. She's provided procedural advice to the key intergovernmental processes, plenary meetings, and high-profile events, including the first SDG Summit under the auspices of the General Assembly in 2009. I'd like to welcome Inga, and we're going to talk about the SDGs and where we are. Welcome, Inga.
Thank you, Janine. It's my pleasure to be here with you. When we first discussed this idea, you might remember that I mentioned that my friends will not be surprised of me talking about fashion and sustainable development. I would say that this is a very important year for sustainable development. I welcome your focus on this, and I'm happy to be here with you. Thanks.
We're really happy to have you, and thank you for taking your really valuable time out. Inga, I'm just going to circle back because I will, from January in the beginning, the Secretary General announced the update on the SDGs and kind of where we are on the situation. Are we reaching our goals? Where are we with climate change? What are we doing with all of the monuments and opportunities that we need in order to achieve those goals by 2030 to 2050? I'm just going to ask you, where do you think we are as separate industries? And right now we're talking about the fashion industry, but in general, maybe you can give us an overview, and then also maybe we can dive a little deeper into where we think fashion is.
Well, thank you. Well, the year started with the briefing of the Secretary General and the President of the General Assembly to the membership about the priorities for this for 2023. And then the centerpiece of the briefings was the SDG Summit that is expected in September this year in New York, when the leaders will travel for the high-level week of the General Assembly. So this is the centerpiece of the year, because we only have 7 years to until the 2030, when we had this milestone event in 2015, and we agreed on the comprehensive agenda for sustainable development. We said that we have these goals to achieve until 2030 and then beyond. Of course, the implementation of the agenda will continue because this is the vision, how we can all live on this planet in peace and in prosperity. So this year we have a couple of events focusing on the implementation of these goals, and against the backdrop of what is happening in the wider world in different regions of the planet and different fields. But what is important is that the focus is still there. We all have this commitment to progress, to make progress, and then to do our utmost to achieve what we have agreed, and how we see that what is transformative action for the future. This is something that all leaders will have to look at before coming to New York. Also, the leaders from private sector, or from businesses, from civil society, all leaders who have interest in future, so to say. They are all invited and to be part of this process. Stakeholders will have the venue and opportunity to be part of this SDG Summit. Like in 2019, the different dialogues and leaders' dialogues will be arranged, most probably. The details are still to be worked out. And then the work is currently on the political declaration as well. But what is important is that everyone is already galvanizing and building up the momentum to see action in September, and more ambition and more transformative vision of what we do, each of us, everyone, all the companies, individual levels, governments, everyone, because this is not something that one company or one leader or one country can deal with. The SDGs are most comprehensive vision, most comprehensive plan. Everyone has a part, and then let's see how it works out, and hopefully it will be very ambitious what we will hear from leaders in September.
Yeah, so that's where we're referencing is the United Nations General Assembly, which then reconvenes again in September. Followed by that, we have COP 28, and that's also going to be followed. So where do you see the challenges for most of these private sector companies? Where do you think that they can actually improve on their goals? And also, where do you see the challenges in the current geopolitical situations, the situations that are happening with recession, you know, the changing in supply chain and all the things that are happening around the world right now?
Well, indeed, the challenges right now we are facing are indeed gigantic. Tremendous challenges in all spheres, almost all spheres. What we see in peace and security field, in economic, in sustainable development, in all fields that we are currently discussing, there are enormous challenges. But this doesn't in no way means that we should give up and we should not try. And what you have mentioned, the climate action, climate summit, climate COP28.
Yeah, COP28.
In United Arab Emirates at the end of this year. Yes, indeed, is a very important event. We had a very significant progress in COP27 last year in Egypt, and then let's see how this will work out later on. And the Secretary General will have its own Climate Ambition Summit in September, again on the sidelines of the high-level event. And there will be a couple of other milestone events that I think is very important for the businesses to focus on. For instance, in March, the President of the General Assembly for the first time will organize, this event on high-level event on waste management. They focus on sustainably, environmentally sound systems for waste management or zero waste. It's very important that cities can showcase and businesses can champion and bring it to the discussion table, and to showcase the innovative ways of dealing with circular economy, building up the networks that are reusing resources, and trying to help the customers, consumers, and then the manufacturers all together to somehow tackle these issues. I think saving the planet is something as a cornerstone of what we do. Geopolitical conflicts and armed aggressions are in no way helpful of what we are discussing now. On the contrary, sometimes we all talk on these topics and then someone will mention or remember, and I myself come from the region where I'm from Georgia, and currently what we see in Ukraine is something very familiar to me, for me as well, unfortunately. And but again, I think what we see is that instead of seeking violence and armed conflicts and going back to tragic lessons from history, I think tragedies from history, I think we need the visionary leaders, transformation, and focusing on well-being of societies, well-being of countries, our own, and also the neighbors, and then in the region, to be able to take care of everyone on this planet, and be the leaders of future.
Right. I think that's too. There's so much geopolitical issues going on, and that does not help. It hinders the performance and opportunity for companies to really make an aggressive goal. Here in fashion, we're really struggling with the geopolitical situation. Again, unfortunately, hit another time within the last 2 weeks with the unfortunate earthquake situation, humanitarian crisis. Devastation in both Turkey and Syria. It's unsurmountable, the human loss, as well as the gravity of how the impact is going to be for future generations, how long these people are going to suffer before we can get out of it. So with that, I see that there are definitely some hurdles for the SDGs to really get on track again in certain areas. Do you see any bright spots in where we're really excelling in performance on the SDGs and getting a little further than maybe the goals were allowing us? And there's 17 of them, so is there some bright spots that we're seeing within the framework that are really helping to be guiding us out of this?
Well, we hear from the scientists, and scientific data suggests that we will not be able to achieve any goals or the agenda itself by 2030, not even by 2050, if we continue as we do today, if we keep the business as usual. But this also gives a hope that if we change, if we transform our actions, there is a hope that we can. And I'm not saying that we will, but I hope because we can, we will do it, because we see how much power, how much energy is there when we are united, when we are focused. Everyone has a role to play. The business and the fashion industry, for instance, there are so many things that we hear from the youth innovators or manufacturers, or any major forum usually showcases their new cases and new stories of what can be done better within circular economy or within different innovative ways of transforming our lifestyles, our daily work, our daily approach to what is sustainable. Again, for myself, I think I mentioned it earlier, I always favor the elegant way of in fashion, but now it's all about sustainable lifestyle and sustainable fashion style, to say. This is a turning point, because every day counts, every year counts, and more and more spreading the news, doing this network and spreading the word, what can be done. Sometimes businesses and private sector is willing to do more, but they are looking for the examples. And then private sector can lead on sustainable development, including financing, which is a major challenge for so many countries, so many business sectors. And this is a room for improvement, definitely.
Yeah, so finance, as we talked about it, resources are limited for many countries, and many countries that have a lot of production in the fashion industry are also struggling with that. We all love fashion, right? But we want to enjoy the creativity, but we want to do it responsibly and reasonably well, and to care about the people, the planet, and also to encourage people to buy better, to invest in pieces, to preserve cultures, to care about the things that we're doing and how we use the resources in the world. So if you have some closing points that you would like to share with our industry in general, and maybe in fashionistas around the world, if you could just give us a little bit of where you think that they should be spending their time in order to get back into where we need to be on the goals.
Well, thank you very much again. It is my very humble contribution to this cause. But I think to stay tuned and to stay engaged, what the United Nations is doing in every corner of the world, to stay focused on how each of us can contribute, and then really engage and embody this this concept of sustainability in everything. This will be really, I think, this is very fulfilling for myself to think that businesses can be nature and people positive, and then can incorporate this concept in every sort of sustainability in everyday work, and also like in the budgeting, in strategic planning, to have this consulting services on sustainability. This should be like the work of today and future. So I think more and more on this will eventually be the policy change and action that we all need and we wish to see. So thank you again, and happy to stay in touch.
Thank you very much, Inga, and thanks for taking your time and sharing with us your insight. And we all hope that we can get back on track with the SDGs. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thanks.